Meesho, a name which is giving jitters to e-commerce behemoths like Amazon in India. The company, which was established in India after Amazon already beating it in the e-commerce race, with the company posting bigger order volumes in the festive season of 2022. Owing to this, Meesho's market share stood at 21%, which was the second largest, sitting only behind Flipkart. Not only this, Meesho became the world's most downloaded app with 127 million downloads as per reports from Apptopia, which has catapulted the company's presence as the e-com hotshots. But how has Meesho, an e-commerce novice whose valuation stands at a mere $5 billion, been able to give headaches to a $1 trillion title like Amazon? How even after dumping in billions of dollars already in the Indian market for almost a decade, Amazon is not able to compete with domestic players like Meesho, let alone Flipkart? Let's deep dive, analyze and find out the intricacies involved in this business case study today and establish the underpinnings of how Meesho is beating Amazon in India. Chapter 1. The Double-Edged Empowerment Sword. Alright, in order to understand Meesho and how it works, we need to understand a few terminologies and start off from the basics first. The first term we are interested in is dropshipping, which was at its peak some 4 to 5 years ago, and now the dropshipping market is totally flooded and saturated. But on the other hand, we have reselling, which can be said to be distant, hard-working, capital-intensive cousin of dropshipping. Why hard-working and capital-intensive, you ask? Well, you see, in traditional sense, reselling involves capital infusion to buy and store stocks and then selling them at higher margins. Whereas in dropshipping, you do not require huge capital, rather a wholesale platform like Alibaba and a platform like Shopify to set up your own online store and get going without the involvement of inventory storage. It is Alibaba who does all the work for you and delivers your product to your customer. So if you look closely, Amazon in the same traditional sense actually either has sellers or resellers listed on its platform who ship their products to customers ordering via Amazon. Hence, if you're already an entrepreneur, you will be able to utilize Amazon. But this is where Meesho identified the gaping hole to fill and introduced its genius business model of not only allowing entrepreneurs to sell, but rather creating entrepreneurs itself on its platform. So let's understand with an explainer. Let's say Mr. Yagami is a seller-reseller, or in other words, he has procured some inventory stock and wants to sell on Amazon. So Mr. Yagami will now register as a seller on Amazon and sell products to customers who are browsing on Amazon. All this while, as Mr. Yagami is making money by selling on Amazon, Mr. L, who also wants to be an entrepreneur but doesn't have the capital to procure and store stock, is just sitting idle at home watching Death Note. But as soon as Mr. Yagami and Mr. L hear about Meesho, they both register as sellers on the platform. So Mr. Yagami, as usual, can sell directly to customers. But why did Mr. L register as seller since he doesn't have any inventory in the first place? You see, this is where Meesho's ability to turn Mr. L into an entrepreneur comes to light. Since now Mr. L can see Mr. Yagami's listed product priced at ₹250 and sells it at ₹300 to his friends and relatives or potential customers by just sending the link of Mr. Yagami's product via Meesho's app itself through either WhatsApp or Instagram, which will then be delivered by Meesho, thereby covering the dropshipping aspect. And as Mr. L is making a profit of ₹50 here, hence covering the reselling aspect. And this is how, ladies and gentlemen, Meesho with its genius social commerce model is intertwining both dropshipping and reselling on its platform while empowering millions of people, especially housewives, to turn into entrepreneurs. Now this model has already onboarded more than 6 lakh sellers on Meesho app, with Meesho aiming to onboard 100 million MSMEs. But one question which comes to mind here is that why is this model a double-edged sword? People, as per IBEF report, India has more than 94 lakh people employed in the micro, small and medium enterprises, which means 94 lakh people who are Meesho's potential sellers and resellers. So in explainer terms, Mr. L, who was a MSME reseller, started earning profits by reselling to his friends, one of whom is Nia. Nia, being Mr. L's friend and being intrigued by his success, offers to work for Mr. L, who has now evolved into a full-fledged seller from a reseller. But Nia, while helping Mr. L, is also learning from him and hence after some time registers himself as a reseller on Meesho, thereby following in the footsteps of Mr. L, and thus the cycle goes on, hereby creating more and more entrepreneurs. So what has happened here is that it's not only the sellers or the resellers who are the entrepreneurs, but rather these entrepreneurs are turning their customers into entrepreneurs as well. Which, ladies and gentlemen, makes the Meesho social commerce model a double-edged sword, and as a result creating a nuke which is bombarding Amazon. Chapter 2. The models by the book. Alright, so we have established how Meesho has an insanely strong business model, but that just can't be what is helping the company garner such an insane and fast-paced growth, right? So let's identify and comprehend what has helped Meesho get the backing of big investors like SoftBank and back that $5 billion valuation tag. Firstly, Amazon, not just in India, but all over the world, has always focused on its convenience factor, which it provides to its customers. The company has its major customer base coming from tier 1 cities who are not price conscious and prefer convenience of fast delivery. This is where Meesho went opposed to its competitor. You see, Meesho had done its homework and was aware of the fact that tier 2 and above cities are expected to contribute more than 88% of the total commerce market by 2030 as per Redseer report. This as a result meant a big wide hole in the Indian e-com market to be filled. And this is where Meesho utilized its strategy of price over convenience and offered unbranded as well as cheaper products to these price conscious customers at the expense of slower shipping times as compared to its rival Amazon. Secondly, in order to attract investors, Meesho adopted yet another preferable industry revered business model known as the asset light model. So let's look at what is this model and how it makes Meesho look like a lucrative startup for the investors. So to explain, let's consider a company, say Arasaka Corporation, which while setting up its business might require buildings, machines, warehouses, resources such as trucks for logistics, etc. So the cost Arasaka would incur to own as well as maintain these assets will be quite high and will eat into its funds. So in order to remain light on the assets, Arasaka Corp would hire third-party logistics and take machines on rent while optimizing its resources, which as a result would let Arasaka use its funds in other areas such as customer acquisition and customer service. This, ladies and gentlemen, thus makes Arasaka Corp an asset-light company adopting an asset-light model. Now if you look at Amazon, although Amazon isn't allowed to hold any inventory, and thereby in theory should not require any warehouses. But as per ET, the firm is signing a deal for millions of square feet of warehouses, which ultimately makes it an asset heavy company as opposed to Meesho. Although it does not matter to a behemoth and listed company like Amazon anyways. But yes, Meesho is an asset-light model adopter and does not hold any inventory, nor does it own logistics provider, and constantly focuses on growth as a social commerce as well as an e-commerce firm. And thirdly, Meesho's revenue model revolves around its core assets, that is, its sellers. As the firm aims to onboard 100 million MSMEs in coming time, the revenue is thus a factor of competitiveness between these sellers in the sense that the sellers pay Meesho to advertise their spots as well as products on the platform. This includes pushing the rankings of the sellers up the ladder to have more visibility as well as providing more impressions. Not only this, with the help of AI and machine learning technologies, the firm is also charging to provide more sophisticated analytics services and tools to these sellers, obviously at a cost. The company has got a great retention rate among these sellers as well, since it does not charge anything to get them onboarded, unlike its rival Amazon, which takes a commission cut from its onboarded sellers. So by inculcating all these models and practices all together, the firm is able to justify its $5 billion valuation tag and become a lucrative venture for the VCs in the market. Chapter 3. Amazon's woes. By now we have established that Meesho is using a mixed bag of strong suit strategies, but that's not the only thing which is helping the hotshot social commerce firm. You see, Amazon in India has been facing a heap of regulatory issues as well as other hurdles, which include missteps in its strategy formulation as well. This has resulted in the company finding the profitability elusive in India, despite pumping in more than 50,000 crores. So let's look at some of the reasons which might pull back the firm from getting hold of the next phase of retention, let alone the growth. Firstly, Amazon in India is only allowed to operate as a marketplace, which means the firm cannot hold any inventory, nor can it have its major stake in sellers. Now, before going further, let's quickly comprehend the difference between 1P, 2P and 3P sellers to get more clear idea of what Amazon is missing out on. 1P seller is the one where the seller is directly selling to Amazon and Amazon stores the products in their warehouses. In this scenario, the seller loses the branding as well as the setting price for their own products, in addition to losing added income which could have come from going retail with your product. But since Amazon in India is a marketplace, it cannot own seller or their products and as a result cannot get into the 1P model as per regulations. Verdict: market lost. 2P seller is the one which has control over the price and branding of their product but do not have the capability to fulfill their orders by themselves, which is where Amazon comes in but takes a commission fee for the fulfillment of the 2P seller's product. Verdict: market gained but at a commission condition. 3P seller is the one who is just bagging the order via Amazon's marketplace but is fulfilling the order on their own and thus has total autonomy over the branding and the price of the product. Here Amazon is taking a marketplace commission instead of a fulfillment commission from these sellers but helping them get in touch with customers out there. Verdict: market gained with marketplace commission cut. So we can see that although Amazon is making money via the 2P and 3P sellers in India, but it's totally losing out on the market of the 1P sellers since regulations do not allow it. But to take advantage of the loopholes of its commission-based conditions and cuts from the goods sold, Meesho makes the most of this opportunity and takes zero commission from these sellers, thereby undercutting Amazon's seller market and growing its own. Secondly, India's e-commerce spending is growing at a rapid pace, which as discussed earlier is going to be led by new online shoppers primarily from tier 2 or tier 3 cities. And since Amazon operates on the convenience over price model and focuses on higher ticket size customers and products to sell with very low penetration from tier 2 and tier 3 cities, this is going to stagnate the firm's footing in the commerce space. Thirdly, Amazon in India has for far too long been dependent on higher mix of low margin product categories such as smartphones, which offer a sub 5% net margin. Its other most selling items are similarly high ticket size items offering low margins, especially electronics. Amazon's Achilles heel has been that it has not been able to scale volumes in higher margin categories such as fashion, beauty and personal care, where Meesho is slowly turning into a champion, thereby driving growth. And that's how Amazon has been losing ground, ladies and gentlemen. There are other highlighting issues as well, such as the company shutting down its wholesale distribution business in India and being less competitive in the grocery category. But one thing is established now: the company is facing immense pressure from the Indian domestic e-com players. While Flipkart was already breathing down its neck, Meesho has definitely given it a huge blow as well. For the time being, it's just wait and watch as the e-com wars in India heat up further with time. In the meantime, if you liked the episode and found the content to be useful, kindly subscribe and drop a like below. I'll see you all in the next episode. Mindfulness signing off.